After weeks of delays, the promised eggs from India are finally here. On Thursday, the shipment was distributed among bakers and confectioners, where demand is highest. With daily consumption up to 7 million eggs, the consignment won't last long. But the government hopes it will at least ease the situation.
Our plan is just to cater to the bakery industry and the hoteliers. So when we fulfill their requirement, automatically the other eggs, the local produced egg, will come to the market. So then the consumers would be able to get the egg at a competitive price, reasonable price.
The poultry industry has supplied local demand in recent years, with eggs last imported in 2012. But there have been shortages in recent months and a tripling of egg prices in just a year. Farmers say a surge in the price of chicken feed is to blame, the result of fertilizer restrictions and a lack of foreign currency. Farmers say
importing corn was a problem because of the dollar issue, and there was no locally grown corn because of the ban on agrochemicals. Many farms had to close. If they had got raw materials as they needed, this wouldn't have happened.
Many farms survived the crisis by selling some of their layer birds for meat, as they couldn't afford to feed them. Sri Lanka's Poultry Association says the government's approach is self-contradictory. On one hand, encouraging local farmers to increase production, while on the other, undermining the very same farmers by importing cheap eggs.
The government says importing eggs is the best way to provide consumers some relief from skyrocketing prices. Farmers don't agree, and scientists are also warning of the dangers of such a move.
So if in any case, if we import eggs from a country where the avian influenza is already there is a possibility that this virus can come to our poultry, our backyard poultry, our birds, and even it could be zoonotic. That means in severe cases, the general public can be affected.
India reported infections as recently as last month in 2 different locations. But Sri Lankan authorities say they've imported safety-certified eggs from a disease-free area. Over 1 million people depend directly and indirectly on the poultry industry. The association says the government must ensure its long-term survival rather than chase short-term solutions. Minelle Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Kosgama, Sri Lanka.
Well, let's take a closer look at this issue with Jada Thompson. She's an assistant professor of agricultural economics at the University of Arkansas. She joins us now from Fayetteville. Jada, so this is the result of a number of different causes. I know avian flu and new migratory paths because of climate change have been discussed, but this is also an agricultural supply issue, right? Exacerbated by government decisions.
Yes, ma'am. It's multifaceted. You already talked about bird flu, which is affecting, I think in the last 3 weeks, like 2.2 million birds have been depopulated either because of the disease. And then you add in feed cost, you add in a war in Ukraine affecting wheat prices, kind of the global market for feed sources. You look at the inputs, and I think they talked about fertilizers and these different inputs. And so what you have is this exacerbated inflationary cost and labor cost and transportation that they compound the issues related to bird flu.
Of course. Jada, this isn't just a problem in the US and Europe. We've been hearing also in a number of Asian countries too. I see Japanese restaurants are now taking egg items off menus, and in many parts of the world, eggs are obviously a hugely important source of affordable protein. So how far could this spread?
So one of the biggest concerns about this particular outbreak or kind of a health event is that it didn't stop. So typically we would have thought maybe at the end of last year we would have saw some relief, and it's still spreading, and it is. It's not focused on just on the Americas. It's in the Americas, Europe, Asia, and it's continuing to spread, and we're not seeing an end in sight for that. And so the problem is, it's a cheap protein, it's an easy access. And so what happens when the prices rise is it's a pretty, you can't substitute away from the product. We're going to need that as in terms of emulsification, we bake things. And so we're looking for alternative solutions in terms of monitoring and surveillance. But the economic impacts of this are going to continue. And I don't think we're going to see extreme relief in the immediate future, because we're still going to have to try to control the HPI, and the feed sources are going to have to be dealt with first.
Jada, you say this isn't going to be resolved in the short term. How long could prices remain this high? Could they potentially get even higher?
You know, we're seeing this like cyclical movement. So I think whenever you see some kind of relief in the outbreaks happening, and we see some relief coming back down, I can speak to the U.S. prices were exceptionally high in November and December of 2022. They came down and they're coming down, except for high seasonal demand and holiday demand around April. I think that, you know, hopefully that we're going to figure out the supply issue, and hopefully feed prices will come down and we'll see a much more moderated response in terms of the input cost on those. So I think in the medium term, we might see some relief coming. I don't think we're going to get to 2021 levels anytime in the near future. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see prices that are much more reasonable, and we'll see a market that has a little bit of relief for consumers.
Jada Thompson there, an Assistant Professor of Agricultural Economics at the University of Arkansas. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise with us here on Al Jazeera, Jada.
Thank you.